Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Nour Elborno, and today we're going to talk about how to write a reflection. Um, if you're an English language student, then you're going to be asked at some point to write a reflection in one of the literary courses you're taking. Now, sometimes you might think it's difficult because you haven't grasped the precise definition of what a reflection should include. Now, there are two main types of reflections: stating your own opinion, personal opinion, or text-based analysis. Now, when it comes to personal opinion, it's about reflecting your own ideas on the text, what you think about the characters, what you think about the themes, what you think about the setting, the conflict. And you usually try to identify with certain characters and explain why you identify with them. Most of your writing is going to be about what you think, what you believe. You're going to use the text, mention some examples from the text, but again, the focus is going to be on yourself. But in text-based analysis, and this is mostly what you're asked to do as an assignment for the literary courses, in this sort of reflections, what you need to do is that you need to read the literary work at least twice. In the first reading, you gather information, you set the scene, you understand the characters, but in the second reading, you start to connect ideas in the first chapter with ideas from the second, third, or even the last chapter. So you start building an entire narrative and an entire structure that includes the entire text, not just segments that are from different sections of the novel or the story. Now, how can I start working on a reflection? Again, text-based analysis is divided into two types, or let's say the question that asks for the text-based analysis can be in two ways. You may be asked to write about whatever you want, just write a reflection about the novel without any theme specified by your professor. But sometimes you are given one specific question and you are asked to write about that very specific topic. One of the main problems that students face while writing reflections is that they deviate from the main topic and they start discussing different ideas, different points that are not directly related to the question at hand. Sometimes a student thinks that she did well, she wrote everything, but she realizes that she did write everything, just not everything related to the question at hand. Another problem students face when they write reflections is that they summarize. There is a huge difference between summarizing the novel, the chapter, an idea, and analyzing it or arguing the validity of a certain idea you are voicing or trying to voice. Now let's have an example. The professor asks you to, and I'm here, I'm working on The Outsiders novel that we're doing in the novel course. Let's imagine that the question says, trace the relationship between the three brothers, explaining how each one perceives the others. Now, when we come across such question, the first thing we need to do is that we need to break it down into ideas. Okay, so number one, we need to talk about relationships. Think of how or what kind of relationships the novel has. It has family relations, right? It talks about how these three brothers were left without parents and had to survive life without adults taking care of them. So the first thing you start with is explaining the social aspect of the novel, explaining that this is a novel that discusses a social problem, that discusses family matters. So number one, you need to explain in the introduction or in the first paragraph about the concept of family, the concept of relationships. And then you need to explain or give general, let's say, introduction that includes or covers the three characters you're going to discuss. So here we have Daryl, we have Soda Pop, we have Pony Boy. You need to explain each character. Don't go in detail, just general information about the three characters, maybe their age, their looks, their appearance, something about their mental health, if you have anything that you can support your answer with. And then you start discussing how each character perceives the other two characters, how each sibling describes or sees the other two siblings. So you would then do this. Let me just clear the drawings. So yes, the last thing you do is you speak about the relationship between Pony Boy, Daddy, then Pony Boy and Soda Pop, how Daddy perceives Pony Boy and Soda Pop, how Soda Pop perceives Pony Boy and Daddy. In the process of doing so, every time you explain a part of this relationship, you need to add textual evidence. That's why we say you need to memorize certain quotations from the novel or the story in order to support your argument with text-based or evidence that is directly taken from the literary work. Now, you're not asked to memorize the entire novel, that wouldn't make sense, but for each theme, for each character, you have to at least know two word-for-word quotations, and sometimes you may use reported speech, you may use indirect quotations, you may explain what happened, but again, you have to feed your reflection or your essay during the final or the midterm. You have to feed your essay with quotations from the literary work itself. So let's go through the reflection very quickly. If there is a specific question, you have to break it down into different segments, into different topics. And for each topic, you have to give considerable number of sentences that clarify this particular part of the question. And then you have to support your answer with textual evidence. And remember that you're not summarizing. It's not a summary. So you have to go Google and see the difference between analyzing literary texts and summarizing a chapter. You will not be able to answer the reflection or to respond to a reflection or to answer a question in the test if you do not read the literary work at least twice. Forget reading summaries, forget reading only the first few chapters. In order to be able to connect between the dots, to be able to understand the hidden meaning in the text, to read between the lines, you're going to have to read the literary text at least twice. So you have to keep that in mind. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments section, and good luck. And yes, I will soon ask you for a reflection. So I'm hoping that by then you will have read the parts or the chapters at least twice and read about the differences between summarizing a text and reflecting or analyzing a text.